Hey, boys and girls, this is Dr. Big Guy. We're glad you joined us. I was just blowing up a beautiful yellow balloon. We know we're going to have an exciting time each Sabbath here on South Atlantic's virtual network. Join us every Sabbath morning at 9:45, and then on the third Sabbath each month for Children's Church. And we know that God will bless you. Bye-bye for now, and let me finish blowing up this balloon.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Aunt Fernita, and I have a wonderful story for you called Lost and Found. The memory verse is from Luke chapter 2, verse 52. It says, "And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature." The message is we learn so that we can help others. What do you like to do most in Sabbath school and church? Do you like to sing songs or give an offering? How about listening to stories about God? When Jesus was a child, he visited the big temple with his parents. Jesus went to a little temple in his neighborhood every Sabbath, but once a year, his family went to the big temple. There they would celebrate Passover. It was to help them remember when Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt. One year at the big temple, the teachers talked with Jesus. He asked the teachers a lot of questions. They liked Jesus' questions. Soon the teachers began to ask Jesus questions. They were surprised that he knew so much. The teachers thought that only boys who went to the temple school knew so much about God. When the special day was over, Jesus' parents left for home. But Jesus wasn't with them. They may have thought he was walking with other family members or friends. After they had traveled for a whole day, they realized he was not with them. They looked for him, but did not find him. "We have to go back to the city," Mary cried to Joseph. "We have to find Jesus." They had already traveled a long way, and it took them a long time to get back to Jerusalem. In the city, Mary and Joseph looked for Jesus everywhere. They may have asked people, "Have you seen our son, Jesus?" But no one had seen him. Finally, Mary and Joseph decided to look for Jesus at the big temple. They found him there, talking to the temple teachers. Mary and Joseph were relieved. "Son, why have you treated us like this?" Mary said. "Your father and I have been searching anxiously for you." "Why were you searching for me?" Jesus asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" But Mary and Joseph didn't understand what he meant. Do you understand? In God's house, people learn about God and tell others about God. That's what Jesus was doing in the big temple. Now he knew God's plan for his life. Now he knew he was God's son. And he knew he would help people and tell them about God as he grew up. Hello everyone, it's Aunt Fernita. Today's story is called Friends Find a Way. The memory verse is from Romans chapter 12, verse 10. It says, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love." The message is I serve Jesus when I bring others to him. Do you know someone who has a very serious disease? If they needed to see a doctor, would you rip off the hospital roof to get them inside? One sick man's friends did something like that. If you had taken a walk in the town of Capernaum one certain day, you probably would have heard, "Jesus is in town! Jesus is in town!" A crowd of people hurried to a house where Jesus was healing and teaching. And what a crowd it was! There was no room inside the house. There was no room in the yard either. All kinds of people were in that house with Jesus. Pharisees, teachers of the law, ordinary people, and many, many sick people. There was a very sick man in that town, and oh, how he wanted to meet Jesus. But he had a problem. He was paralyzed. How could he get to Jesus? He couldn't move. All he could do was lie on his bed and think about how sick he was. If only he could meet Jesus. He just knew that Jesus would make him well. The paralyzed man was fortunate in at least one way. He had 4 very good friends who were happy to carry him to Jesus. Each took a corner of his mat, and off they went. But when they found the house where Jesus was healing, they couldn't reach Jesus. There were people everywhere. No one would let them through the crowd. So near and yet so far. The sick man was worried that he wouldn't see Jesus after all. What could he and his 4 friends do? There had to be a way to get through that crowd. His friends took him up to the roof of the house. How strange! Have you ever entered a house from the roof? It isn't easy. Do you know what the 4 friends did next? They made a hole in the roof, big enough for their sick friend and his mat to fit through. Then, with ropes, they let the sick man on his bed down, down, down. He landed right in front of Jesus. Jesus' eyes were so kind. He said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Forgiven? I'm forgiven, the man said to himself. What a happy day! The Pharisees and teachers of the law were not happy about this. They had already refused to help this man because of his sins. They thought to themselves, how dare Jesus try to forgive sins? Only God can forgive sins. Jesus could read their minds. He spoke strongly to them. Why are you thinking these things? People need to be helped. Which is easier? To say you are forgiven or to say you are healed? You will soon know that I can forgive sins on earth. Then Jesus turned to the paralyzed man and said, "Rise up, take your bed and go back to your house." Suddenly, the man could move his legs and his arms. He was healed all over. He got up, rolled up his mat, and carried it out the room and headed home. This time the crowd let him through. Everyone was amazed and praised God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this." The 4 friends were really happy that they had brought their friend to Jesus. How about you? Do you want to bring someone to Jesus?